Hello and welcome to the latest exciting installment of Bite Me. I'm Martin. Now, unfortunately, real life got in the way of both Joe and I this week and we've not been able to record. But we didn't want to leave you guys without an episode, so I've decided to re-upload this interview I did with Tom Lenk back in 2002 for his Edinburgh Fringe show. Now, I'm just putting in this disclaimer that this was recorded in 2022. This wasn't when actors are on strike. I don't want to get anyone accusing him of scabbing or whatever. Yeah, like I said, this was recorded in 2022. It's a great interview. He's a really nice man. We got along great. Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, do you use the video for stuff, or how does that?
Tend to just use audio. Is that okay with you?
What's that?
Tend to just do audio. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I was like, shall I go get pretty for you? Okay.
You can if you want. Okay, so I'm now joined by the world's foremost Tilda Swinton impersonator, Tom Lenk. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, is that going to be my? Will that be on my tombstone? I don't know.
That's your obituary written right there.
Oh my gosh, am I going to end up in Las Vegas like years from now? Will that be my job? Like Tilda Swinton impersonator. I mean, there could be worse things. Who knows?
Yeah, there's worse. Have you ever heard from Tilda about your impression?
No, but we've run into at the Fringe when you're handing out flyers. We were mostly sold out, and I'm like, I'll just I gotta go like put my time in anyway. And I'm standing there handing out flyers, and this girl takes a flyer from me, and she says, "That's my auntie." And I said, "What?" She said, "That's my auntie." And I looked at her, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, yeah, it looked. I could see the family resemblance." Anyway, it was her niece, and she came to see the show, and we were so nervous. I gave her free tickets, put her in the good seat, and afterwards, she just was like, "Oh my God, I love it." She also offered to come. I think she was a student there at the University of Edinburgh. And I think then she offered to go hand out flyers with us. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to exploit you like that. And we took a selfie with me in costume. So I think I don't know. We've some of her friends have come, Tilda's friends, and like her stylist came to see the show, so I think she's probably heard about it at this point. Also, my theory is like, come on, don't you want to produce us on the West End? Tilda Swinton presents, Tilda Swinton answers an ad on Craigslist.
That would be incredible.
I mean, that sounds like something she would do.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Just because of like, my friend was describing a movie that is out right now, only in theaters, will never come out digitally. I can't think of it. It's a movie that she's in right now. So I don't know. It just seems like
it's kind of kooky.
Yeah. Anyway,
so you're here to talk about your Edinburgh show. Lottie Pratchett took a hatchet. So how did you get involved in this, and what can you tell people about it?
Well, it's the director from my Tilda play is in this one with me, so that's kind of how I got on board, and also the writer of the play who's also in this one as well. They wrote a bunch of plays that we read during the pandemic that we did on Zoom, and to just like keep ourselves busy and to raise money for various theater companies, etc. during the pandemic, and so I started getting involved with that, and that's kind of how I got into it. And the whole vibe of it is this very like camp, over the top, hilarious, sort of queer a queer parody of the Lizzie Borden tale. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of a spoof of that, and it's insane. It's so weird and hilarious and insane. So
this won't be your first. This won't be your first time at Edinburgh. What do you like about the festival?
Well, have you been?
No, I keep meaning to, but I've not even been to Scotland before, so I should probably get around to it.
Martin,
Yeah, no, I've got a
how
friend who's a comedian that's performed there, and that's kind of makes it even worse. That's not bad.
where do you
I'm in
reside?
London. I'm in London.
Okay, well, here's my pitch too. It's only a 4-hour train ride,
Yeah.
and that sometimes is the total amount that I would spend in traffic in Los Angeles for the day.
That's
So
true.
it's just a nonstop 4-hour train ride. What is it? Maybe it's like 70 pounds if you buy your ticket early.
Yeah.
And then you can go see so many, just especially if you have a friend. If you have a friend up there and you can crash at their place, that's always great. But because I think hotels is the thing that gets expensive. But it's just like, I don't know. There's over 3,000 plays just happening at the Fringe, plus the Edinburgh International Arts Festival, which is like the bougie festivals also happening. And you can just go see a different play every hour of the day, starting at noon all the way till like 2 a.m. And like you can see a show in a shipping container, you could see a show on a bus, or I'm sure there's like a frozen yogurt shop that has a weird performance art installation, or above a pub, in an old church. Like everything has been converted in classrooms. Many of the classrooms at the university have been converted. So everything is just turned into a performance venue. And yeah, a lot of times it's not so much about like, it's not going to be a fancy theater that you're in. And it's not necessarily a fancy set. It's just like you're going and seeing something that's like, every hour is something new in that space. So whatever they can assemble in 10 minutes becomes the set for you. So it's just a wonderful kind of magic thing. If you love music or theater, comedy, dance, acrobatics, it's all happening up there. That's my hard sell on the Fringe for you. Okay. What would you say? What was your question? What
do you like about it? But I guess you've just explained that it's kind of like a creative mecca.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can I steal that?
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
Stealing that. Yeah, it is a creative mecca, and it will say, as I said, driving around in Los Angeles for hours at a time of traffic on the daily, and doing my auditions, and being on a TV show is wonderful, and it pays the bills. But sometimes you don't have a lot of say in which ones you're booking necessarily. So, I'm delivering the medical information on today's episode of Grey's Anatomy. I've never been on Grey's Anatomy, but
you're in House.
I have been. Yes, I was on House. So I've done the medical shows. So it's not like creatively fulfilling necessarily, but sometimes it's exciting and you get treated very well. Sometimes you get treated very poorly. I won't say on what show that shows that was on, but the Fringe is turned into kind of like an artistic and creative recharge for me, where you get to go do, I went to drama school, and like it feels like, oh, this is what, this is kind of like the extended version of that, the sort of the mad theater camp that I always wanted to go to.
It's like the movie Fame, but in a whole city.
Oh God, no! It's not that annoying. It's not that annoying. Although they do have these, there's not people dancing in the streets. Don't worry. That would be actually. I take that back. There probably is. No, there is, because there is the silent disco. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
They give like city tours, and you wear headphones, and it's a silent disco, and people are dancing and singing, and those are annoying.
Yeah.
Because you can't hear the music, and you're just like, oh God, there's those people singing "I Will Survive" again.
How did you get started dressing up as various celebrities? Because you went viral a couple of years ago doing those sort of parodies and stuff.
Oh yes. Someone yesterday said I had broke the internet with that. I'm like, oh, thank you. That's the ultimate compliment. I'll take it. I was just doing that because I think it was a 2016 Met Gala photos, and it was like a space robot theme or something, and I thought, oh my God, I just was like, what is fashion? It is so subjective. I could make these in my sleep. Some of these look like trash. I could assemble trash on my body. And I made one photo that was this was before anyone was really following me on Instagram. I made one photo that was sort of like here's everyone at the Met Gala. And then I thought, oh, let me get specific. And I thought, oh, I'll just make some this week. And then it took off and people started reposting it. And then if you haven't seen these folks, it's basically I recreate not anymore. I got bored and I stopped doing it. I would take red carpet outfits and I would recreate them with trash and recyclables and things that you could find around the house. And so I thought I would do it for do as many of those Met Gala looks as I could. Then it just took off and I'm like, okay, well, I'll do this until it becomes a TV show. And it didn't, but I did it until I got bored. And that was about when the pandemic hit. And I'm like, I'm done. And then I moved and I got rid of all of my craft supplies. And I thought, why don't I take this creative energy and I'll put it into actually doing comedy videos and making video content, which is, more in line with what I trained to do. So
yeah, I really enjoyed your podcast, Trash Talk. Have you got any aspirations to bring that back?
Oh, the Trash Cast. I don't know. Maybe thanks for listening. It was kind of like, I thought I was trying to exploit the Instagram and that sort of brand of trash and everything. And, oh gosh, turns out, and I was doing it with a podcast company and, oh God, yeah, as you know, a podcast is a lot of work and booking guests can be annoying and exhausting. I thought it would be easier to get, friends and celebrities on the show. But anyway, I had a good run of it. I stand by it. It was a fun idea. I made people bring me two objects, one that was trash and one that was had significant value to them, and I would try to figure out which was which. But now I have a podcast with Felicia Tay called Undressing. It started as Undressing Bridgerton and Undressing The Witcher, and now we're just undressing whatever we happen to be watching. And that's easy because, we had a little break because Felicia got COVID.
Oh, no.
But that's easier because it's just us and we can talk to each other every week.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Do you have any recurring co-hosts, or is it always just you and somebody else?
It varies. There are a bunch of other guys that I record with, but at the moment it's just me because it's the hottest day the UK's ever had. So I was the only one that was willing to sit in a living room today.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I forgot. It's what's the hottest day? What does that mean to you? What is the
40 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 101.
It's 100?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's some Palm Springs weather for you.
Yeah, we're not used to it.
Is it all over the UK or just
pretty much just London at the moment? But yeah, everywhere's a bit hot.
Is everyone hiding? Well, you guys don't have air conditioning for the most part.
No, not for the most part.
What is everyone hiding inside? Or are they out laying in the sun?
Yesterday, there's a lot of people out, but today it seems mostly people have stayed in. My kids stayed off school today because it was too hot.
What? Oh,
yeah. The school called and said they can't come in. So,
what's hilarious is that when I grew up here in Southern California. No air conditioning at these old schools. Sometimes in September there would be like 2 weeks of this kind of weather, and we'd just be in there in our classrooms just cooking, falling asleep because it's so hot. But I guess we're a little bit more used to it. I'm sorry you had to.
That's all right. It's all right. It's fine. Tomorrow it drops down to like 26, so we'll be.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Yeah, and I think in Scotland it's still only about 22, 23, so you'll be fine.
Oh, okay. Good.
You come over, yeah. So it would be remiss of me to get you on and not ask about Buffy. You played two characters in Buffy, so what was that process like? And I've always wanted to know, what was the vampire makeup like? Because you played a vampire at one time.
Well, not everyone always knows about the first character, so I applaud your research.
Thank you.
I played a vampire named Cyrus in season 6, and I met one of the casting associates at like at a casting workshop where they go and like meet, people just starting out, or new people, or people who are doing co-stars that want to do guest stars. Anyway, and she brought me in, and the makeup took a few hours. The thing that was a little stressful was I still don't know how to put contact lenses in, and if you don't know how to do it, because they had these yellow sort of eyeballs, and they have like an optical technician who's there to, because you go to an optometrist, and they give you an eye exam essentially, and then put these things in, and then they have to come to set and put them in for you if you can't do it. And oh my god, I held up the filming, and it took like 40 minutes to get them in my eyeballs, and they finally had to like turn off all the lights. So like, because I just could not. No one cares about this. Everyone can put them in their eyes. I just couldn't, and I was crying. It was like my eyes were being poked. I don't know why we didn't try showing me how to do it myself, but I just could not. And like, meanwhile, clock's ticking, and you're like, the lowest person in the pecking order. And you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm holding up all of filming with my stupid contact lenses. Anyway, but that was very fun. But then they had a rule that if you hadn't shown your face, if you've been covered in prosthetics, you could come and audition for other roles on the show. And I actually auditioned for other roles on Angel. I auditioned for the karaoke team on Angel, and I didn't get that. Oh, wow. You had to sing a song. I sang a song. A couple other things, and then I ended up getting part of Andrew, which was originally Tucker. But Tucker, this guy had appeared on another episode. Tucker wasn't available, so I was auditioning for the role of Tucker, but then they changed it to be his brother. Oh. There you have it.
So my friend Jason would never forgive me if I didn't bring this up, but he wanted me to tell you how much Andrew meant to him as somebody that was growing up at the time, questioning his own sexuality and coming to terms with it. And yeah, he just wanted me to tell you how much that meant to him to have a character like Andrew on screen. I mean, is that feedback that you've heard a lot from the queer community?
I haven't started hearing it until in the last couple of years, actually. And maybe it's because kids that were, watching it in their preteen or teen, who discovered it in their preteen or teen years, are sort of, adults now. And the weird thing was, like, I didn't know it at the time because it was never specifically said that the character was queer. And I just did an interview yesterday where I was talking about, so pardon me if I'm recycling, but, at the time I thought I was like the other two guys. Like we were these like straight, comic book nerds that were, obsessed with that whole thing. And I was obsessed with wanting to be like our leader and, and I wonder if, like, kind of subconsciously, they kind of, as the writers got to know me more, were kind of taking my energy in. And it was also a time, like, I wasn't out to
sure,
to everyone necessarily. Because, like, at the time, like, you still had to come out to every single person that you meet. It wasn't so much as assumed back then. And it was also, like, not, you couldn't just... You wouldn't know, like, which crew member. There was and still can be a lot of, kind of bro-y energy.
Sure.
There's still a lot of, like, Trumpers on the crew, in the crew. Because, well, I should say, because it's still like a predominantly, well, like, and when I say crew, I mean like a lot of the, like, transpo guys and people rigging the sets and camera stuff. It's still like a predominantly male field, and which is horrible and annoying. So a lot of that sort of energy does still creep in. So you just never knew at the time, like, oh, is it safe for me to be myself in front of these people? Because I wasn't in front of the cast, obviously. So yeah, it was anyway. So at the time, the character wasn't, necessarily. Maybe the character himself was on a bit of a journey, and also you didn't have a character, an openly queer character in those days, unless it described it in the thing. So whether they were being subversive or whether people are now. Because here's my backstory was I was just playing a straight guy and I wasn't, but it doesn't really matter, right? What I was playing, because I myself am constantly, projecting queer representation onto the characters of Bridgerton. Why is Eloise not a lesbian? I'm angry about it. So this is me just rambling about if someone saw themselves in me, amazing. And how cool it is to, even if I wasn't, consciously playing that thing. And if they were picking up on me personally and my energy, that's great that someone in the queer community could see themselves in a role or see what they were going through. And I could see because to some people, oh yeah, he just was, just a straight comic book nerd. Because why was Jonathan not necessarily? Why were they all not? Did they all kind of have gay vibes? But they were also obsessed with wanting to kill Buffy and also date her, but also maybe be her. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go with the representation of it, and so that's the amazing thing about watching a TV show. There's no one there telling you what you can and cannot think about a character. And I do it all the time. So yeah, I love that. God, you get me started on a topic and I'll just keep going. That's what a podcast is for, right?
That's true.
Is hearing people ramble and get off topic? Eek. I hope so.
What was it like when you crossed over to Angel? Because you're in a couple of episodes of that.
Oh, I think I can't remember. I remember hearing at the time I was replacing somebody that was unavailable. Because they'll write a character for somebody and then they have to be I hope they're free, or I hope if it's someone that's appeared before. And I can't remember if maybe it was Michelle Trachtenberg, somebody, I can't remember. It was written for somebody else and they couldn't do it. So then they rewrote it for me because obviously I was available. And yeah, I remember it being fun. It's so funny because sometimes I have you name an episode, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then name another one, I have no memory whatsoever. I don't remember much about Angel. Trying to think about any fun details for you. Oh, I know. I made my own prop because I wanted Andrew to be obsessed with David Beckham. I just spent 10 minutes being well, my character I thought was straight, but why don't I could just put him under the LGBTQ label of questioning, right? But at the time I was going through a phase of being obsessed with David Beckham. So I decided Andrew was, and I made myself a lunch bag because there was lunch, or maybe I decided he was going to be eating lunch because he'd just gotten off the plane. And so I drew the flag of Great Britain, the UK flag. Would we call that the Union Jack?
Union flag, yeah. It's only a Union Jack if it's at sea, apparently.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I drew the Union flag on a lunchbox and made sure to research, so I did it accurately. And then I had food, and then I had a notebook. So if you want to rewatch it, here's some little Easter eggs for you. I had a notebook, and I'm they'll never get the rights for a David Beckham themed notepad, so I'll just draw his face. but I imagine it just looked like me with my haircut from season 6, because I think I let my hair grow out on Angel, which I really regret. I just look like a hobbit. It was a bad choice. But anyway, if you see before I flip the pad over, it's a little drawing of David Beckham.
I remember the flag on the bag, so I'll have to go back and watch that.
Well, just know I did it myself because I knew they weren't going to have any notice, because I was just going to show up on set and be like, hey, can you give me a notepad with David Beckham? And I don't think most actors are crazy like me when it comes to props, because I generally enjoy having a prop, and a lot of times, unless it's not in the script, they don't want you to be messing with props because there's continuity issues, etc. I hear Cloris Leachman was like that. Do you know who that is?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Cloris Leachman. She was in a lot of Mel Brooks movies. She was in Young Frankenstein. She was she was in The Facts of Life. And she was on lots of Broadway things, and she had her own show in the 70s. Didn't she? She had a spin-off of or she had a popular character on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Anyway, apparently she just constantly was like, had to have something in her hand. And so she was constantly like grabbing things from the set. But it does make things complicated, because like then you have to keep doing that in every take. Yeah. Otherwise they can't edit the various different camera coverage together. So
yeah. Do you find that helps you focus the character if you're holding something?
I think I used to do it more for my own anxieties of like, what do I do? What do I do with my hands? Am I just standing here? But I was a bit of a, like a sort of a theater, I don't know, I guess a lot of TV people, sometimes they were kid actors. They just were just doing TV and film out the gate, or, I'm not necessarily the people in that show, but like not a lot of, sometimes people won't have any like theater experience, and so like, I think as like, I grew up in the theater and respect for acting, etc. Like, I wanted to like, I'm not the type of person, I'm not a method person. But I like to like use my imagination and like, what would the character, since you can't control necessarily what they're wearing, you do have a say in like what they're holding and what they're interacting with. And, sometimes someone else is telling you how you're moving, where you're going. So I guess it was a fun way to sort of, put your own little stamp on the character. Yeah. But like that, things did pop up. Like I remember I wanted to be drinking a Capri Sun in one of the scenes as Andrew. So it was fun to get to add. Occasionally I would be like, I know. I got to, I was wearing a SpongeBob t-shirt to the fitting one day, and I was like, hey, could I wear this as my character? And they said, let us see if we can get clearance from Nickelodeon, which is at the time, I guess Nickelodeon was owned by Viacom and Fox was its own thing. Now it's Disney, but so they had to get approval from a completely different company. But they got it. I remember thinking that was so cool that I got my SpongeBob shirt, and no one ever noticed. It's not a thing that anyone ever asks about. So,
well, you heard it here first, folks. So next time you see Tom at a con, bring up the SpongeBob t-shirt.
Yeah, just know SpongeBob was for you people, for you who loves no one. There's no. I've discovered there's not a lot of sci-fi SpongeBob crossover necessarily.
There should be.
Trying to think out if there's any other little things that I like snuck in there or requested. Yeah, I don't know. I guess not. Mostly it was just the writers. We essentially were kind of what the writers would be talking about when they would get into tangents, and in the writer's room kind of turned into our dialogue and the things that we were referencing. By the way, a lot of times we had no idea what we were talking about. Like, I think our first day filming, the three of us in the trio, me, Danny Strong, and Adam Bush, they're like, here you go, here's the Dungeons and Dragons dice. So just start playing. And how kind of them to think that to assume that we would know how to play D&D. We did not. We had to have someone explain how it all worked to us quickly. So yeah, sometimes we didn't know the things that we were referencing. In a really dumb move, should I just keep going with these things?
Yeah, keep. I'm enjoying it. I'm a huge fan of this universe.
Okay. At one time, one of my lines was like, "I'm bored. Episode 1 bored," and I honestly thought, I was like, "Wow, this is really meta." Like, this character is referencing that this world that they're living in is a TV show, and like, it's referencing that there was that first episode of Buffy, and like, I think like, even like, also doesn't matter what, like, no one can see your inner thoughts while you're filming. The camera can't see your training. The camera can't see your backstory that you've created. Thank God, because I think it was like only until somebody was like, "Oh yeah, episode 2 and blah blah blah," and then someone started mentioning that it's a Star Wars reference, which would be episode 1 would be
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. There we go. And those were all, universally hated by the sci-fi and nerd community at the time. And so maybe they still are, probably.
They've kind of had a bit of a resurgence now. People have kind of reevaluated them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now with like the Obi-Wan show coming out. So anyway, that's how stupid I was at the time. Sometimes things that I would say in real life would make it into this is how me started creeping into the character. There was a line about swimmers here that I think Drew Goddard I think he wrote that episode, and I think he had heard me just saying something like, "Oh my God, I can't go." What? I can't go in the, like, I never go in the ocean here in Los Angeles. I can't go in the ocean. Look at a sunburn. I've got swimmers here. I can't. And that somehow made it into the characters' lines. Let's see what else. I did figure out how to play the didgeridoo. It's much like a brass instrument, and I'm a trumpet player, so you play it like you would a brass instrument, and then you hum at the same time.
Oh wow!
So it's a double resonation sound. You have the vibrating of both your vocal cords and your lips on, because sometimes there is a very specific thing that you can do when you're playing the trumpet, like if you hum and play it at the same time. Anyway, so I would like to, really take a course and learn how to do all the things on the didgeridoo.
All right, Tom, I'm very conscious of the time, and I know you're busy, so I'm going to thank you for joining me today.
I was late. Everyone, I messed up the schedule and
It's fine.
And I was late. I don't want to give you a short episode.
It's fine. It's a good length.
Do you have any last dying questions that you wanted to know? Any?
Well, yeah, you work with Felicia Day a lot, obviously, with the new podcast. And how did you guys meet on Buffy, or were you friends before that?
Yeah, we met on Buffy. God, she had to wear that stupid hat for so many episodes. By the way, that was her. It was this rainbow striped hat, and I think I can't remember if she wore it in her audition or she wore it to the fitting, but they're like, "Oh, we love that." And then that was her costume. But she just kept having to wear it every day. And then finally it was like, do people wear the same hat every day? And also the characters were trapped in that house for a long time. And so would they be wearing the same outfit? And then I think they just kind of decided okay, we're going to establish that they brought changes of clothes at some point, or they had to go to Target and get something new at some point. But yeah, we met there and became friends there. And she actually was in an improv group with friends that I'm friends with now separately from her. So we just had a lot of friends in common as well. And yeah, we were, during the pandemic, we both started watching Bridgerton, and we were texting each other oh my God, this show is so horny. Oh my God. And then I think it was she that suggested it. And she said, should we be doing a podcast about this? And I'm like, yes. And And then we were trying to come up with a name with it, and she was like, "Well, I mean, we like want to undress all the characters, right? They're so sexy." I'm like, "Yes, that's the title, undressing."
The artwork's fantastic for the podcast.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And the original artwork I did myself, and then I think she just had somebody on Fiverr make the new one. But it's been super fun. It was kind of like a fun way to pass the time in the pandemic, and but now we realize we're obsessive TV watchers, and we can't. We binge the stuff. Do you watch The Witcher?
I did during the pandemic. Yeah. I think the pandemic changes us all into binge watchers.
Yeah, I have an unhealthy relationship with television now.
I kind of miss all that free time now, though.
Yeah, although it's not over. Why do we think the pandemic's over? It's not, but
that's true.
I did turn into a bit of a hermit, and now all I want to do is stay home and watch TV with my dog. Trying to think it's interesting because our numbers were much better when we watched The Witcher. So I think our audience members liked that better, or people who maybe follow us on other things. So I think we might do another sci-fi. Are you a Star Trek person?
Casually. I kind of like it, but I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan.
I was into TNG in high school because...
Yeah, that's my series as well.
My parents watched it, and so I just kind of watched it with them, and then I got into it and was deeply attracted to Captain Picard before I really knew what was up or what I was going through. I mean, but it was so funny that I also assumed he was 65 at the time because I didn't know. Also, he kind of he's always looked like he was 50 and still does. Isn't that wild?
It's amazing.
Some people are just like that. But I really was judging myself for I'm like, gosh, you're attracted to a 65-year-old and you're a teen. What's wrong with that? And whatever. I worked that out. Don't worry. It's fine. I went to therapy. But anyway, I started watching Discovery during the pandemic, and then I kind of took a break. And now recently I've been binging. I binged all of Discovery. I binged all of Picard. Ooh, that really, chef's kiss to Picard really, had all the TNG references and characters reappearing that I needed. And then now I'm obsessed with Star Trek Strange New World.
Yeah, that's the one I'm currently watching. It's really good.
God, Captain Pike's hair is perfect.
It's amazing. It's a work of art.
It is a work of art. It is crafted. I need to know. I got to meet the hair team. Just so I want to know. I got to do some internet research and see if they've done any sort of hair tutorial and given us. It's got to be a 10-step process at least.
Yeah. There'll be someone who's worked it down and broken it out so we can see what it's like.
Well, I need the behind-the-scenes footage of him getting ready in the hair department because that's the best head of hair on television.
Yeah. Was that your dog?
Sorry. That's my dog. Lucy, say hi.
Oh, hello.
Boop, boop.
Oh, what kind of dog is she?
Want to play the ball, Lucy? Sorry, her eyes. She needs a haircut. She's kind of. I thought she was a soft-coated Wheaten Terrier because I got her at the pound, but I did. I got her DNA done. Someone gifted it to me, and turns out you want to watch TV. It turns out she's just like a mutt about a whole bunch of different things. Sorry, where was I? Oh, Star Trek. Anyway, people binge yourself some Star Trek. It's so good. There's so much you can watch right now. I'm really into it. Does that mean I've become my character from Buffy?
Maybe. I just signed up to Paramount Plus and I'm addicted to Catfish. You ever seen that?
I've never watched that show, but it really kicked off a whole thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to check that out. If you're in America, I think you currently can get a year of Paramount Plus free if you have T-Mobile.
Oh, nice.
So take advantage of that. So I turned into a hermit, and now I just don't want to leave the house. I just want to cuddle the dog and watch Star Trek.
I bet Lucy loved having you at home for 2 years.
Well, that's the thing, is that we didn't see other people or other dogs. And then we had, my ex has our 2 golden retrievers, and they live up in San Francisco now. And now, because I spent so much time just her and I, she got super possessive of me. And now her stepsisters, who she was friends with before, now she's like picking fights with them because she got possessive of me.
Yeah.
And now we've had to spend money on training.
Yeah, my aunt's dog got real separation anxiety when the pandemic ended. So yeah, she had to go for training and all that.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Our poor little 4-legged friends got too used to us being around all the time. It's not such a bad problem to have. Oh my God, your listeners are like, oh, stop talking about your dog. No one cares.
I love dogs. No, I could talk about dogs all day.
I'm a crazy dog person, and I would be a cat person too, but I'm severely allergic.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forced you to keep talking to me.
It's fine. I will.
Well, let me just pimp out the fringe one last time. Come if you happen to be in or near Edinburgh. If you live in Glasgow, it's just a 40-minute train ride. You can be there and back in one day. Come and see me. And Lottie Platchett took a hatchet. I play Lottie's brother, who's had his pelvis removed due to a bout of pleurisy, which becomes a comedic thing there's a whole reveal of my character that I won't ruin. That's amusing. And it's insane. Women are going to love it because it really draws a lot of parallels to the treatment of women at the time and to what are currently going through. So yeah, it's a good time, and I hope people come see it. Yay, Fringe.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate this.
Sorry I'm late. Sorry, audience. I was late. And let me know when it's up.
I will do. I'll send you a tweet or something.
Okay, and I'll retweet you.
Okay. All right. Cheers, mate.
Such a pleasure.
All right, I hope the show goes well.
Stay cool. Get some ice cream today.
I will do.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Lucy.
Bye.